Welcome back to episode 4 of our rebooking the WWF in 1992. Episode 3 ended a little bit on a downer as we got a dreaded mail notification regarding 3 WWF superstars, 2 of which are superstars, one of which is an enhancement talent, but regardless, we're kind of responsible for him. Jake Roberts failed a drug test, and it's hard drugs. So he's not doing marijuana, he's not doing steroids. And I actually looked it up because I've never done hard drugs. I barely started smoking marijuana on a very casual basis. It's heroin, cocaine or crack, and meth tend to be the most notable hard drug options, and I feel like we probably know where Jake falls in that. Whether it be crack, meth. I don't think he's doing heroin. I hope he's not doing heroin. I hope he's not doing, well, he's doing something. So, Marty Jannetty, not doing the roids, but he's smoking pot, probably. And then I feel like he'd be doing some level of cocaine. I mean, he's a rocker. You know, maybe you don't need to live the gimmick exactly as maybe rockers do. You know, we don't need to do method acting in the 1992 WWF universe, Marty. And then Louis Spicoli, enhancement talent. Yeah, he's probably smoking pot, but I feel like he's probably doing fucking cocaine. And that's the last thing that we need. Now, we've also had our first promise with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, reaching out, and he requested Roddy Piper have a match with him. And as I noted in the previous episode, these are going to be probably, I would imagine, pretty easy. I actually have not played this game incredibly in depth, despite having about 6 different saves going. I usually just kind of look around the rosters and then fantasize, how I would do it. But doing these kind of this series is actually forcing me to book the shows and advance it. So, luckily, with us having house shows, this is going to be pretty easy to accomplish. And there is a house show before the end of the month that would probably fit perfectly for this request. Now, as I've also stated before, we are going to kind of keep our house shows in the same rough area of where they took place. Now, there is several instances where the WWF would have 2 or 3 shows all in different areas. It could be 3 different cities in the Northeast or whatever the case is. We're going to pick the probably most popular city of that choice. So, there could be an instance where there's a show in New Hartford, Connecticut, and then also there's one in Philadelphia at the Spectrum. We're going to go to the Spectrum. Just like, I think it's January 25th is one of the shows. That's the target date for that. Likely going to be happening. I guess I can, or no, maybe the 31st. I think it's actually January 31st. I think. Yeah. So that's where we're going to take care of that. And I don't really care. Hey, Piper would probably go over. We'll get to there eventually anyway. But here we are. Episode 4. We've got really, I guess, our first major TV program, because primetime wrestling is in fact a 2-hour program, and we're going to utilize it as best we can. And of course, we have a house show that is taking place on January 10th. So there's a little bit of a break. And now there's a lot that could happen in that break of time. And as I noted before, we are going to be essentially cutting 12 wrestlers from our roster because they're arguably just kind of like dead weight. And as a result, we're going to be getting significantly younger. Now, we're probably taking a hit on the star power. And this is kind of where, in real life, the transition to, I guess what you could say is a rebuild with the new generation would be taking place. Because, we have guys like the Lightning Kid, John Layfield, or John Hawk Bradshaw, whichever, Stevie Ray, Booker T, Steve Armstrong, Samu Fatu, Tracy Smothers, the Patriot, and AC Conner, who we better known as D'Lo Brown, as enhancement. And of course, we also signed a bunch of enhancement guys to kind of fill out that aspect as well for doing the jobs that could likely transition into becoming superstars on a regular basis. I believe, and I didn't go back. Actually, obviously, I definitely did, because I'm going to click on my roster and he's going to be on there. Kind of per the suggestion of Austin Skinner from the World Class Retrospective Video Podcast channel, which you can go and find. Maybe I'll have it linked in the description. You can check him out there. We signed Bill Irwin, and as I said, we're getting younger. He is 37, so he's a little bit older. He's currently the GWF World Tag Team Champion and North American Tag Team Champion. I don't know what the difference of that is. World Champion and North American, so he's like the United States Tag Team Champion and then also of the world. Sounds like the GWF to me. Obviously, we have a informal agreement, as he's just going to be getting paid $350 per appearance. Now, we are likely not going to use him until we bring John Hawk and the other, I guess, potential outlaws is kind of maybe the name that we're going to go with. Bring them into the promotion. And, I mean, just look at that face. I mean, that screams a heel to me. But I could also see him as a baby face. He's like, a rugged, no-nonsense ass kicker, but in a good way. So we have options. I'm not really concrete on either one at the moment. So I guess we kind of figure it out. Our heels to face ratio shows that we have more heels than faces. So if we were to have Irwin, John Layfield, and Steve Armstrong, who I think we have Steve designated as a face, it would kind of balance out the structure. Yeah, he's a face right there. No, well, obviously we're gonna change his gimmick to like a cowboy or whatever. So, did that say it gives no boosts? Oh, that's because he doesn't have a character. Okay, or a gimmick. So that is kind of where we're at in regards to kind of recent happenings. I still have not really looked at the guys available, although I do remember talking about Tammy, who I should probably write down here on my trusty notebook, because as I've said before, whether it be on this video series or the Out of the Park series, where I'm doing a 2002 New York Mets playthrough and probably beyond, I like to write things down handwritten. I feel like it helps my memory, but it absolutely doesn't, because I still forget what the heck I'm doing. Tammy, Candido, and Brian Lee would be a fantastic threesome, not in the perverted way, to have them in the company. They would absolutely be heels, led by Tammy. Now, 1992, realistically, especially for Tammy, is probably way too early because she didn't really find her form until early 90. I think it's early 94 when she's doing a character where she just loves Hillary Clinton. Like she's an idol to her, and that would be it worked very well in Smoky Mountain. Probably one of the better stretches of television for the promotion, and one that I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought she did really well. Now, Cowboys. Let's go back to the Outlaws. Bobby Duncan Jr. would, I think, fit very well, obviously, in a potential grouping. The only issue is, I guess he's not. I mean, he has 8 years experience. His wrestling skill at 34 seems pretty low. I don't think that is necessarily accurate, but whatever. I guess that doesn't really matter. Kendall Windham. That is an interesting. I don't think I ever really realized he looked like that. I think we can change his photo, right? Maybe not. Maybe I have to sign him or something. Yeah, I probably have to sign him. I remember him bald. Of course, I mostly know him from like 1999 WCW. But Kendall Windham would be another option to join the Outlaws. So ideally, I guess as it stands right now, it would be John Hawk Bradshaw, Steve Armstrong, Bobby Duncan Jr., and Bill Irwin potentially as the core four. Obviously, I do not, as I've mentioned before, I do not want Tracy Smothers involved with the Outlaws. I love Tracy Smothers, especially in this era. We snagged him a little earlier than he was maybe technically available, but in the game he had it informal with WCW, and we took him along with Steve. But I don't want him part of the group because I think on his own he'd be very good. We could have him part of the group and then eventually have a split with the group, but I don't know. I'm very hesitant to have him not like weighed down, but maybe potentially lost in a group of that matter. But who knows? We got plenty of time to figure that out. I had a random thought today. I don't even know if he's technically in the game yet. He sure is. There's Harold. Ice Train is not signed, and obviously his skill levels are not fantastic at this point. But I was thinking of ways to utilize Crush, the Hawaiian, lovable babyface. And I'm just minding my own. This is what I do. I just think of, I guess, WWF 1992 nonsense. And I was like, you know what? I like Ice Train. I remember liking him in Fire and Ice with Scott Norton, which would have been in '96, which was only for a couple months. But what if we brought in Ice Train and they were just known as Crushed Ice? And it sounds silly, but it is such a 1992 thing. Now, I don't think we're going to do that. At least not yet. We cannot really afford to just completely just crowd our roster of people. That just probably wouldn't be an ideal thing to do. Norman Smiley pretty big. I'm a fan of him as well, but 92 might not be a good time to utilize the big wiggle. Um, Bill DeMott, which I saw right here, the future humorist. Now, I'm not going to spoil things because on WrestlingRecaps.com, I have done a written rebooking where I started with the first Raw 93, and I've worked my way up to, I think I'm in July of 95. Now, that has been a project that I've been doing for over a decade, and I've gotten a couple of, I guess like 2.5 years in the game. Now, should this series continue into 93, I'm not going to use verbatim what I've done in that game because, in the written series, because obviously there's not restrictions such as this game with contracts and all this other stuff. But I could use characters that I've made or whatever, but I don't think I would blatantly use an angle. If I were to, it would be maybe beneficial to do it in this form because I can explain in better detail of what's going on and in the reasoning behind my decisions. So who knows? Possibilities are endless, I guess, here in 1992. But Hugh Morris, there was a tag team that I made with a humorous character, I guess you could say, that should the moment arise, I think I would use him in this game. So just keep an eye on that. That would be probably months and months and months, maybe even like a year. Actually, probably more than a year into the game. That would even realistically be an option. Brian Lawler, that is a gem of a picture. What a mustache! Oh my gosh, I don't think I've never seen that picture before. He is a man that we could, definitely bring in a little while with his father Jerry. Royalty aspect. Brian is really good at being annoying. Probably hence the entertainment aspect being so high for him. So, yeah, you got the cocky swagger there you can see in his biography here, descriptions. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, he's a guy that we can probably keep our eye on. That is the future Mantower right there. I don't think we'll be using him or that character. Carl Ouellette is another guy. I should probably write that down. At some point, maybe we'll bring him in. And obviously we signed like Chaz, I think. Yes, yeah, but informal, yeah. So yeah, maybe one of these episodes will go really deep on the free agents and developments there. But all right, let's get into our first 2-hour program in our, I think it's third live event, second or third. It's a 2-hour program, and we're gonna have some stuff develop, some angles that will likely show regular matches to probably take place on house shows, because this is 1992 is the business. That's the business model. You set up your TVs, and since there's times where you're going to go 4 months without a big event, you have to utilize your pay-per-views. Or, obviously pay-per-views, but you have to utilize your house shows to kind of draw business. And considering the schedule is literally, pay-per-view wise, as you can see right here, literally all, it's already like predetermined for us and set up. I am not gonna alter that. So like in your house, the first in your house is May 95. I'm not gonna just be like, hey, the first in your house is now in February of 92 or 93 even. But there are Saturday night's main events that we can do, as you can see right here. I could add more of those in but I'm not going to alter the monthly pay-per-view like concept and format. All right, let's get into our first 2-hour primetime wrestling show. As you can see, these are all of our segments here, all timed out. It has about 86 minutes booked. We could have done 34 more minutes, but I always keep this in mind because I'm not gonna add like the advertising and recaps. So we left plenty of time for ad breaks and recaps and all that other stuff that you want to fast forward. The show's going to start off with a match. Coco Beware defeating Dwayne Gill. And as you see here, the first couple of episodes, I didn't have like the finish here because I didn't bother. I wasn't using like, hey, here's the notes thing because I didn't realize that it would show up here even for like matches. So then I won't forget the finishes. We're learning stuff on this show. Coco Beware is going to defeat Dwayne Gill. 5-minute segment. He's going to hit the Ghostbuster, which is a fantastic move. Dangerous move, but it's fantastic. However, after his victory, but probably even leading into his victory, Papa Shango charged the ring and brutally attacked Coco by hitting a shoulder breaker. Now with Coco laid out, Shango turned his attention to Coco's parrot, which Coco he brings to the ring, and ended up taking Frankie with him backstage, much to the horror of fans and obviously Coco as well. So when Coco wakes up, he was where's Frankie? There's panic. What is Papa Shango doing with Frankie? The Voodoo Man. He warned us, big and small, to watch out for his voodoo. So we'll have to see what Papa Shango's going to do with Frankie. Our second match, the British Bulldog. He's going to pin Haku with a running power slam in a 10-minute segment. These two allegedly have good match chemistry, so 10 minutes on TV should not be too much of an issue. Bret Hitman Hart accepts the Models Challenge. He's interviewed by Meet Gene, and Hart puts over Martel's in-ring talent. And, of course, that's in reference to Martel saying, hey, I was in Japan, and Jack Tunney saw my work and was impressed by it. But Hart notes that he's not a fan of Martel's ego. Hart is all about confidence, but insulting people along the way seems a bit low for the Hitman. Hart finishes off saying he's a fighting champion. He's going to bring a fight to the Rumble, and fists will be flying into the Model's face. So there we go. We have our Intercontinental Championship match set for the Royal Rumble. Hitman and Martel have had standout matches on the house shows, and we're probably going to continue that. Not necessarily every house show, but you want to give the live audience a little taste of pay-per-view action quality, and why not? You never know what's going to happen on a house show. Titles could change hands at a WWF live event. Speaking of the Model, the challenger to Bret Hart at the Royal Rumble, in about 10 minutes in this whole segment, he's going to defeat Greg the Hammer Valentine by forcing a submission with the Quebec Crab. Seems like, just basic follow-up. You have Hart mentioning his challenger, and then you immediately see Martel in a competitive match, but ultimately winning. Just kind of solidifies the idea of, he's a challenger. He's fresh off from Japan. He hadn't been shoved down our throats. Enough time had passed since the Jake Roberts blindfold stuff that I think it's a credible and worthwhile little filler, I guess, arguably, match for Royal Rumble for the IC title. The tag team champions, Legion of Doom, are interviewed by Mean Gene. LOD believe that the Nasty Boys have suffered a serious head injury from the previous encounter to want a rematch at the Rumble, but Hawk says that they aren't above not whopping. It's supposed to be whipping their butts for a second time. Animal warns that they were able to walk after SummerSlam, but Royal Rumble, they will be stretchered out if they're that lucky. What a rush. You gotta love it. Again, I didn't want to do natural disasters because we have other things to do for them. And, I don't know, a pay-per-view loss for the disasters. I mean, they had only formed in what? The summer of 91? Pretty short-lived to be losing, I feel like. Speaking of the Nasty Boys, again, kind of have a formula here where you have the babyface talking and then they have the heels right after winning. And as you see here, the Nasty Boys defeat Brian Armstrong and Tony Williams. Brian Armstrong, of course, would be known as Road Dogg, B.G. James, the Roadie. They're also in the USWA, so we're utilizing that working agreement. Knobbs is going to pin Williams following a running power slam to give them some momentum as we head towards the Royal Rumble. Sean Mooney interviewed Shawn Michaels, who has zero regrets about the dramatic and shocking manner that he ended his friendship and partnership with Marty Jannetty. Michaels had enough of being held down with Jannetty, acting as if he was fine for settling in his career. Michaels sees gold in his future, while Jannetty, well, he's seeing a red lately. Of course, that's in reference to getting blood, getting cut open from the barbershop window. Michaels tells Mooney that he's going into the Rumble with one goal in mind, and that's to win the WWF World Championship and be the sexiest man to ever hold that strap. So Michaels does not care that Jannetty is laid up, bandages on his forehead. He only cares about seeing gold. He doesn't want to look at a busted open Marty Jannetty. Who can blame him? Hacksaw Jim Duggan, 7 minutes. He's going to pick up the win after hitting a running clothesline on the Berserker. Pretty self-explanatory. Duggan, I think, is just entertaining TV at this point, so he might be on TV a lot. And I'm sure he's not going to be upset about that. We probably still have, I don't even know, probably like 2 years, maybe a little bit more, to utilize Duggan and maybe use him to potentially put over younger talent both coming in and already here. But for right now, I think that there's still definitely use for Duggan to be picking up wins. And of course, Berserker, we don't really have a direction for him at this moment. We don't have a major angle or anything. And we can just have Duggan pick up a relatively easy win here. Repo Man. He's in the Royal Rumble, and he shares a quick promo, acting all sneaky, talking about he's going to go under the radar and steal the Rumble from 29 other men, focusing on the top names of Sid, Hogan, and Savage. They'll never see him coming and realize that he took the WWF World Championship at the Royal Rumble. We're just playing into the whole repossession. You never see him coming. So he's going to sneak around. And then unexpectedly, we're going to wake up or realize at the end of the night, oh my God, Repo Man is the WWF World Champion. That could happen. That could happen at the 1992 Royal Rumble. We're going to follow that up with a Natural Disasters promo. And of course, Jimmy Hart would be in the segment as well. Quake and Typhoon. We're going to cut out a promo about being in the Royal Rumble and how no man can survive 2 natural disasters, whether it be earthquake or typhoon. Guys like Sid, Hogan, Savage are not going to be able to walk out as a WWF World Champion if they have anything to do about it. So instead of having Quake and Typhoon lose in a tag title match, I would think they're a much bigger threat to win the Royal Rumble. There's going to be kids out there thinking, who's going to get these guys out? I mean, just a couple of years ago, Earthquake was a top heel laying out Hulk Hogan. And there's no reason that he still couldn't be one. So we're going to kind of roll with that. Who can eliminate 2 natural disasters? I mean, come on. If there's a final 3 where it's quake, typhoon, and let's say Randy Savage, I don't know. I don't even know if it was quake, typhoon, and Repo Man. If Repo Man could sneak his way out of that, so they could be sneaky contenders. El Matador, Tito Santana, in about 5 minutes. He's going to defeat Killer Kyle with a flying forearm smash, and of course, Killer Kyle is of Smoky Mountain Wrestling fame. So I figured, you know what? We can throw him out there on Primetime Wrestling. And again, I am a big fan of El Matador. I don't know why. It's not like I can visually seeing these matches, but just having watched my fair share of 1992 wrestling, there's something about Tito that I would say definitely underappreciated, and we are going to try to appreciate him as much as we can in this series. Big Boss Man, he's serving up hard time at the Royal Rumble. He cuts a promo about competing in the match, saying that the likes of Jake Roberts, Ric Flair, Undertaker, they're going to serve nothing but hard time for the crimes they've committed. Bossman also notes that he's not above dishing out punishment to anyone in order for the WWF World Championship to be around his waist. Now, you're probably wondering what crimes, did Roberts, Flair, and Undertaker commit? Well, I mean, Roberts, he struck a woman, so that's not good. If Bossman were to look at the drug testing, Roberts is using illicit drugs, but of course, he doesn't know that. Well, he may know that, but not on TV. They don't know that. Flair and Undertaker kind of coincide with each other because of the whole This Tuesday in Texas shenanigans that caused the title to be vacated. So that's kind of tying into that. And and a promo like this could justify, Boss Man versus Flair, or Boss Man versus Undertaker on house shows. If he's focusing on those 2 guys, calling them out on TV, there's no reason that we couldn't get some house shows out of that. And I would say I've been going back and forth on this, of including segments where they're promoting like a local house show or something. Because they did do that. They'd be like, oh hey, these guys are wrestling at the Boston Gardens or whatever. I'm almost not gonna maybe do that, but we can use like this type of promo to kind of suggest maybe we'll see those at some point. I would be leaning more towards doing that after the Rumble, but there's a lot of house shows to book, as I'm noticing the more and more I have to book them. So maybe it will happen sooner. Skinner is going to defeat Jumpin' Jim Brunzell in about 5 minutes with the Gator Breaker, which is a reverse DDT. I just like the name Gator Breaker, and it is a pretty good reverse DDT. It was so good that Sting stole it for his 1997 run. So I'm almost certain that he has said on the record that he saw Skinner do it, and then he said, "I'm going to go make millions with that move." I'm almost certain that's what he said. Ric Flair addresses Piper's remarks that were recently aired on television, and of course he has Mr. Perfect with him. He laughs off the notion that he is a phony or a fraud. He educates the fans that he's been a fighting world champion all over the globe. He's the greatest wrestler to ever walk the planet. Everything he has, he's earned it. Perfect chimes in and says that Flair is one of the toughest men he's ever met, while Piper walks around wearing a dress. Of course, Gene's going to mention it's a kilt, but Perfect doesn't care. Flair insults Piper for wearing a dress and asks Gene if he thinks Flair would lose to a man wearing a dress. Flair dismisses Piper's comments about always being on top because Piper has never won the world championship, which is true. And Flair thinks that all the fans are brainwashed by Piper, and they will see that the Nature Boy is in fact the better man when they square off in the squared circle. Now, this is again not a Royal Rumble match. I feel like this kind of leaves it open for interpretation for house shows, but it's not a house show exclusive match. I think our end game here is a match at WrestleMania at the Hoosier Dome. And you're probably thinking, Bob, that's in April. It's about, 4 months away. We can get there. It'll drag, but we'll get there. So don't worry. In our main event, action-wise, Jake the Snake Roberts defeats Superfly Jimmy Snuka in about 6 minutes as he hits Snuka with a DDT to win the match. I don't know. I think I liked the idea of a Roberts Snuka match. Sure, Snuka's past his prime, but he still gets the pop for the splash. Anytime he goes up there and teases it, fans are always like screaming their heads off. So here, I could just see it now. Snuka misses a splash, and then Roberts hits the DDT. 1, 2, 3. In keeping with our clearer formula, Savage is interviewed by Mean Gene about the Royal Rumble, but Savage cuts off Gene and says he's working double at the Rumble. Wait, what? What do you mean? Savage isn't going to wait to get his hands on Roberts for striking Elizabeth at this Tuesday in Texas, so he wants Roberts at the Royal Rumble. Savage tells Gene he's going to defend the woman of his dreams until he breathes his last breath. And he's going to win the WWF World Championship all in the same night. Dig it! Okay, so we have set up 2 matches, right, for the pay-per-view. Hitman and Martel. Obviously, we know about LOD and the Nasty Boys because of the challenge. They basically accepted here. And then we have Savage and Roberts also being made official. So that's 3 matches. And then you have the Royal Rumble. That is 4. And I want to say that is kind of where I have it booked right now, is at 4 matches, because the Royal Rumble itself is so long. But we have still one more segment before we kind of talk about it that more. Hulk Hogan closes the program. Gene chats with Hulk Hogan, who is ready for the Royal Rumble, brother. Hogan isn't overly concerned about Sid's comments about their friendship and is all about competition as long as it's all fair and square with his good friend Sid Justice. Hogan hasn't forgotten about The Undertaker and his evil ways with Paul Bearer, and notes that Flair going around claiming to be the real world champion still is bothering him. And Flair has a chance to prove his worth at the Rumble, but it won't be at the Hulkster's expense. Dude. I could have said brother at the end, but I think I had already used brother, I think. Pretty sure. Or I said it. Either way. That wraps up Primetime Wrestling. That is our format for the show. And now clearly, with Hogan talking, that's potential house shows. We could do Hogan and Undertaker. We could do Hogan and Sid against Taker and Flair, which was, in real life, the Saturday Night's main event in February, but we're not going in that direction. But for a house show, we could do that. Of course, Savage and Roberts, a house show potential. I'm not one to not book pay-per-view matches on house shows to draw a crowd, and maybe it impacts potential match quality for a pay-per-view. I don't know, but I guess we'll find out. So let's go to the Sun Dome, because I was not going to book a major, huge arena for these shows. We're going all around the towns for Primetime and Superstars and Challenge. We're not staying in the same... Well, Primetime was a everywhere location, so we're going to just pick a set location each week and go from there. And again, Superstars and Challenge, we're not going to be in like Boise, Idaho for 4 weeks. We're going to be just jumping around. Kind of maybe close to where they're touring in real life, to kind of keep them like in that trend. But we'll see where we can travel. Good to see that the atmosphere backstage is still going. It's pretty good. All right, let's start the show. Let's see how this translates to the both live audience and television audience. All right, Coco Beware And Dwayne Gill gets a star and a half. Crowd was a decent, well, a little more than half involved. Coco getting a bit of a bump for his popularity, while Dwayne Gill goes down. But again, we don't have much of a focus for Gill, so that's okay. And let's go to our next segment, Papa Shango. Now, this is good. I like that Coco didn't lose his popularity, but Shango gains a little bit. Unfortunately, Frankie's been abducted. 75, I can live with that. 2 stars for the British Bulldog and Haku. Not too bad. Crowd was into it. We'll take that. As you see that. Okay, so they have good chemistry as opponents, and it helps the match quality, which is 2 stars. I think their definition of good chemistry is bizarre, because I would think that would be like maybe at least a 3. I mean, 2 isn't like dreadful, but all right. Well, Bulldog gets a good bump up, 0.8. Haku going to 0.4 again. Haku is on our list for departing the company, although I don't have him written down, so maybe not. But I definitely should have included him. So he might be past. Actually, you know what? He's probably past the May cutoff for where we were focusing on. All right, let's see what the Hitman talking about Martel gets. 78%, not too bad. Martel getting a slight bump from just the mere mention from Bret Hart. We can live with that. Okay, 2.5 stars here for Martel. Martel won the match, but his popularity went down. I don't know if that's... See, popularity makes it seem like, hey, we like this guy. So I don't know if that really mattered. I don't know if that's impacting much of anything. Greg the Hammer Valentine, he went down 0.7. Valentine is on my list, so that's okay. His selling raised to 2.5 stars. That's fine. That's better than Haku and Bulldog, and they don't have notable good chemistry together. So, what does that tell you? Okay, that's fine. 10 minutes. They filled a good 10 minutes. It's good. Oh, looks like we got a good segment here. 91%. LOD. They calling out the Nasty Boys. Everybody, except for me and Gene, got a bump up for popularity. Very slight, but we'll take it. And then we have the Nasty Boys defeating Brian Armstrong and Tony Williams. Just a star. Crowd not really into it. Probably because they don't care about Brian Armstrong and Tony Williams. What a great picture for Tony Williams there. That's, yeah. Maybe should pick a different picture for that. All right. Brian Armstrong and Tony Williams, they both go down because I guess who really cares? No bump up from the Nasty Boys, but again, they got one in the previous segment. Shawn Michaels talking about Marty Jannetty. Sean Mooney got a bump up for just the association of these two. Jannetty got a little bit of a bump, and then Sean's up 2, and we are at 76% there for the storyline. Jim Duggan gets a 0.5 star with Berserker. Crowd loving it. Look, Duggan looked like a threat. Really helped his popularity. Got a little boost there. All right. See, Duggan's ready for the Rumble. He's won one. So what makes us think he can't win it again? Oh, brother. Okay, so mentioning Hogan and all these guys is not good. So, future reference, let's not have the lower mid-carders talk about the main eventers. All right, I tried Repo. I'm not really concerned about that. That's not a major dip. I tried Repo. That just tells you no one's buying into it. So next time, we'll keep it much more vague. Natural disasters. Same thing. They were mentioning these main eventers. They went down a little bit. They went up, which is good. That means that the fans maybe bought it, but these guys suffered. These onesie-twosies easily make those up, so that's not a big deal. El Matador and Killer Kyle. Killer Kyle putting in a huge effort for a 1.5 stars. 53%. Overall 55%. Nothing too nothing too major here to point out. All right, Boss Man talking about Flair and Jake the Snake Roberts. These guys dipped a little bit, 69%. Skinner defeating Jim Brunzell, 52% crowd reaction, star and a half, 55. A little bit of a boost, a little bit of a downer. As always, Brunzell put in a huge effort, so trying to make Skinner look good. Flair addressing Piper's remarks, got a 85.2 for perfect. The other two did not get any elevation, which is fine. Jake the Snake Roberts, hey, see, so we got it right back. Anything that he might have missed. 85%, so the crowd was into it. Only a star, 76%. Snoka goes down. That's fine. No big deal. Miss Elizabeth gets a little bit of a bump for the Savage promo on Roberts. And then we close it off with getting just redemption here. So, well, Cypher Hogan. But Hogan's huge star, doesn't matter. Hogan's promo focusing on the Rumble. Justice gets a bump. Flair gets a bump. And, of course, Undertaker gets a bump as well. 94%. So that is good. All right. We lost more popularity. So we have to maybe build up better cards and maybe bigger. I'm assuming better action on our TV shows. So, yeah. All right. We have 2 mail, but we have a live event. Oh, wait. Oh, we have a little bit of a break. Okay, so we have to go to the next live event, but let's go to our mail. Let's see what we got here. Well, okay, we got 800 grand from from the USA Network, almost 4 million viewers. So we got about 10,411 tickets. Just above $562,000, and we had to give off 62,000 of that for the gate share contracts and the clauses, and I'm sure that is more about Hulk Hogan than anybody else. Finances, we're looking pretty good. We're just under $9 million in the green. So now we have 3 days before our next show, which is a live event. Hopefully nothing too drastic here. Oh, see now it looks like we're plummeting, but we're really not. That's not that bad of a dip, so we don't need to panic. We got 2 new messages here. Louis Spicoli. Okay. Louis, with his drug addiction, his drug usage, I gave him a talking to, and he increased his booking fee from $200 to $400. I wonder where that extra $200 is going there, Louis. WWF Superstars of Wrestling on TSN got almost 300,000. That'll net us 61.6 in income. That is because of the syndication is on Wednesdays. So that will not, that will always be like lumped away from our first time running the program. Okay, so here's some top news that I kind of skipped over. I looked over here and like Eddie Gilbert, I think, won like the Global Wrestling Championship. Just some events here that we don't really care about. Oh, what is this? Wrestling Observer newsletter. Nikolai Volkov drawing locker room heat over perceived laziness. Huh. Oh my God, this is hilarious. There's growing chatter backstage about Nikolai Volkov, who has reportedly developed a bit of a reputation in recent weeks for being, in the words of one source, unmotivated and going through the motions. I wonder, did somebody tell him that we were going to cut him on April 5th? Or April 15th, whatever one. I know it's in April. That's not good. Multiple wrestlers noted that Nikolai has been skipping optional workouts and has taken more of a relaxed attitude to match planning, sometimes showing up late to agent meetings or not contributing much to collaborative segments. While not outright confrontational or disruptive, his behavior hasn't gone unnoticed by management, and some veteran talent are beginning to question his long-term prospects if things don't turn around. One source close to the situation said, "It's not that Nikolai can't go, he can, but there's a big difference between showing up and showing out. Right now, he's just coasting. Time will tell whether this is a short-term slump or the start of something more problematic. That's per Dave Meltzer. Okay, so let's view him here. Okay, so minimum effort. Yeah, so he will get tired. He gets injured and tired less frequently, so he's not going to work hard. He's considered sociable, respectful. So here's the thing. As you can see here, match history, we have not booked him at all in 1992 so far. So I guess him showing up to meetings, or not showing up to meetings, kind of fits, because why would he be there? Of course, I mean, obviously the game doesn't know that, but... So we're basically footing a $9,000 bill by not using Nikolai, who I believe is designated like as enhancement. He's not getting a push or anything. Let's go to our... Yeah, we can close this. Let's go to our roster, and let's go to Volkov. I'm pretty sure... Yeah, enhancement talent. There's nothing. A Patriot, he's a good guy now, but... Yeah, we're spending $9,000 on enhancement. If we were to release him, we'd have to pay him just under $26,000. So we either just do it now, or we just keep him. And so, I mean, what's really the difference? I mean, we might as well just kind of keep him on the roster in case we need to just have a body for a match, right? Speaking of Brian Lawler, he has agreed to a tour with All-Star. The agreement is worth under 5 figures per month and will last around January 93. He'll be able to take independent bookings. So much for maybe using him, I guess, anytime soon, if he's going to be involved with them for a year. Let's go to our live event. And it's at the Covelli Center in Ohio. I picked that up. His capacity is just under 6. Our potential attendance is about 5, so the cost was pretty good too. Obviously, our pay per appearance wages are kind of through the roof, but not the end of the world. All right, so this is our card. I'll just explain what's going on here. We're going to start off with Shawn Michaels defeating El Matador with the super kick. 10 minutes opener. I think these guys just work well together. Of course, I am a big El Matador fan, and Shawn Michaels, being a new heel, get some quality wins on the house shows against El Matador. Should be able to build him up in the coming months and maybe elevate him up the card. Probably ideally start doing that in the summer. So we'll keep him in the mid card, probably through WrestleMania, maybe even through SummerSlam. And well, if I do SummerSlam, then we might as well just wait till 93 to make it, maybe have 93 be his real breakout. But we'll see. Tatanka defeating Repo Man, 8 minutes with the end of the trail. Samoan drop. As you can see, Repo Man not happy with this segment. Don't know why, because Tatanka is not like this bad worker. You go to his profile, he has a 75 star power. Wrestling skills pretty decent. Entertainment pretty good. I mean, compared to Repo Man, I don't think Repo is like... Yeah, I mean, 65 star power is less, so he's a lesser star than Tatanka. So I don't know. Maybe he doesn't think Tatanka's ready. I don't know. I'd have to talk to him. Maybe I'll get an email about him being upset. We're going to have our segment here where there's Piper and Flair, the War of Words, similar to what they've done on the previous house show. The whole phony and you're a fraud. Hey, you wear a kilt. It's not a kilt, or it's a kilt, not a dress type of deal. Just barbing each other to set up the main event. Owen Hart is going to defeat the Mountie after hitting a top rope missile dropkick. I guess there was a match that we've had here where Owen on the house shows was given like 100%, and I like that, and I like Owen. Coco, his tag team partner, because we're not doing the New Heart Foundation, we're going right into high energy. Coco being involved with Papa Shango, we can have Owen do his own thing as well, and still have high energy be a unit. So I figured on the house shows, at least certainly on the house shows, Owen can get some big wins. Nice to see the Mountie not be upset about losing to Owen. I feel like he gets along well with Hart family, so doing the honors there. 11 minutes might be a little long for the Mountie, but it's for Owen. So Owen gets his shine. This is people are gonna be, what is this? Berserker defeats Jim Brunzell after hitting a running big boot. He took his head off in 7 minutes. I'll explain this. So, what I'm going to be doing is early in the show. I'm not like going to start off the show with it, but I want to do matches where maybe even like enhance where your Scott Taylors, your PJ Polanco's. We'll just look at the enhancement talent right here. So, at some point your Booker. I mean, Booker T and all these guys are not enhanced. They're just designated as that for the time being. But like Jim Powers, right? Why can't he be on these shows doing 8 minutes and maybe winning a match, right? Whether it could be Jim Powers against Steve Dahl. Who knows? I was looking at cards for WWF 92, and they did that. I mean, they did stuff like that, where Jim Powers could be wrestling Pat Tanaka, and sure it'd be a 22-minute match. I'm not going to do that. I'm not crazy. We try. I think I usually have about like 9 matches on these shows, which some people may think is a lot, but we're not doing 2 towns. We're not having split shows. I mean, if you really put it together, the 2 different tours, you're looking at 7 matches on one show, 7 on another, whatever. That's 14 matches. I'm doing 9 just to get these guys to have some consistency of working. And they're not all working the same shows. That's why we're able to kind of bounce things around and do something different. So the Berserker picks up a win. And then that means if he were to lose on TV, maybe that audience for that town in Ohio would be like, oh wow, look at that's a good win. The Bulldog beating Berserker on Challenge or whatever. Just as an example. It could mean more just in that little town. Now that probably also means that Berserker needs to get a squash match or something on TV, and I can do that. That's fine. But I also want to be able to do it on house shows. All right, British Bulldog is going to beat Skinner with the running power slam. Yeah, that's right. Skinner didn't hit the Gator Breaker. He got pinned 1, 2, 3, right in the middle of the ring. $1 Million Championship. Ted DiBiase is going to retain after he hit Hacksaw Jim Duggan in the head with the championship. I feel like these guys have really good matches, good chemistry. You go back and watch anything in Mid South, just good brawls, hard hitting brawls. That's kind of how I envision this. You have a couple of matches before it that are maybe a little downers. This picks us up, hard hitting, and DiBiase getting the win. I feel like Duggan's the type of guy that can just take a loss and it never impacts him ever. And I'm a DiBiase mark, so if we can push DiBiase, we're going to do that. The Undertaker defeating Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Pretty simply, our tombstone splat win, 5 minutes. Just moving along from there. Kind of a breather because we got 2 big matches right after. In a Royal Rumble preview, Intercontinental Champion Bret Hart forces Rick the Mile Martel to submit to the Sharpshooter. Hopefully this is another pretty good match. Keep that consistency going as we head to the Royal Rumble. I invested into this match based off of 1 match. So if the match quality drastically goes down, that would be disappointing. And in the main event, Flair won on a previous house show. Piper is gonna win with a sleeper here, cleanly in the middle, with the pass out to defeat Flair. So again, we're trying to make all the house shows different. The last thing I want is Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer to report, hey, it was the same show that happened in whatever town, and it happened here too. So don't worry about it. No, we're gonna try to make it different and fun, and maybe some shocking stuff. I mean, house shows are crazy. Sometimes some nutty things can happen. Upsets for the live audience. You never know. So let's see how this translates to just a live audience. This is not airing on television. 2.5 stars for Sean and Tito. Tito loses a little bit of popularity. But that's okay. We had a good match. I'll take that. 2.5 stars is fine. A dud for Tatanka and Repo Man. And Repo Man was not thrilled to be doing that, but it doesn't look like it held against him. So he still put in effort. He just wasn't happy about losing, I guess, to Tatanka. Of course, Piper and Flair. Everybody gets an increase there. Huge segment, 94%. Like to see it. 1.5 for Owen and the Mountie. Mountie, of course. See, I knew it. He was struggling to breathe by the end of the match. Owen, explosive style, impressed the crowd. So Owen's an impressive guy. So we got to keep our eye on Owen. Once again, huge effort. So that's good to see there. Of course, we got a cool down match. Brunzel, Salin, Berserker looked like a threat. Star, or not even a star, half a star. Crowd does not care, and that's to be expected. So we'll take the hit there. Half a star for Bulldog pinning Skinner with a running power slam. Just a star. Wow. Okay, that's disappointing for DiBiase and Duggan. The finish slightly hurt the match quality, so the cheap finish was a bit of a bummer, I guess. Well, that's disappointing, but they didn't give 100% of the effort. Maybe it'd be different on TV or pay-per-view, whatever. But crowd was into it, 72%. Negative half star for Taker just destroying Jim the Anvil Neidhart. There you go. 4 stars for Brett and the model Rick Mardell. All right, so I think we lost half a star, but 4 stars, good. 63. That means crowd's digging it a little bit. All right, that's good. That's what we like to see. 4 stars. And the main event, 2.5 stars. Crowd super into it. 81%. Piper getting the clean pass out victory. 73%. We did not lose popularity, so I would imagine the crowd was like, hey, not too bad of a show. We'll take that. Let's advance today. We have 1 male. We have 1 new male. But let's see here. We have, oh boy, what is going on here? I don't know if I like this whole news thing. Okay, so these are just, I mean, these TV, just to give an example, I don't know if I've clicked on these before, like Power Hour, this means nothing. They just show matches, like, okay, great. These matches are probably 20 minutes long on a TV show, and they're just random as all hell. So that, this means nothing. Let's see. We have something here for Savage there. It's a little bit concerning. What does this mean? Randy and PN News. Okay, Randy Anderson and PN News have quickly become one of the more inseparable pairs in the industry, bonding over travel, mutual respect, and an easygoing sense of humor that's made them a hit among peers. It just worked right away, one fellow wrestler said. They're both the kind of people who make any room better. It's no surprise they found each other. Whether working the same shows or just catching up on the road, the two have reportedly formed a genuine friendship based on positive energy, shared experiences, and mutual appreciation for the social side of the business. They're always the life of the party, noted one producer. It's good vibes when they are around. While not every friendship turns into an angle or alliance, those backstage say this one feels real, and those bonds often last long after the final bell. Okay, well, that's pretty cool. I thought that it was going to be like a romantic thing. but they're just like best friends. That's pretty cool. Now, this is concerning. According to the Observer, Randy Savage reportedly holding back in the ring. He's afraid to make another mistake. Sources backstage say that Randy Savage has been noticeably hesitant in recent performances, with several peers and producers observing a shift towards safer, more reserved in-ring work, believed to be the result of mounting pressure and emotional weight. Randy used to take chances, one road agent said. Now it feels like he's just trying not to mess up. The change appears to stem from recent feedback that hit him particularly hard. Rather than risk further criticism, Randy has reportedly tightened his moveset, reduced high-impact spots, and begun second-guessing mid-match decisions. It's not bad wrestling, one fellow talent noted. It's just careful. And careful doesn't always connect. The concern isn't over skill, it's confidence. And until Randy feels safe enough to trust his instincts again, the performances may continue to reflect a wrestler fighting not to win, but not to fail. All right. Interesting. Now, we look at this. His about me. Anxious. That fits. That makes sense. Toughness, sure. Minimum effort. All right. But then maximum effort. So he has that with him, but the anxiety of everything. So by the sounds of it, it doesn't seem like it's a permanent thing where he's like terrified to do spot. Now, I'm not saying we're gonna have him jumping off like a Hell in a Cell or anything, or a crazy spot. I mean, I don't think there's crazy spots really in 1992 WWF that I can think of. I don't think that's gonna really impact really anything like match quality wise. I'm not really concerned about that. All right, Mick Foley and Lou Albano, they're closer friends. The duo backstage at UWF have said they've been getting closer backstage. They've been seen chatting, hanging out regularly, and are on track to becoming best friends. Okay, well, that wasn't as in depth as Randy and PN. I wonder if that's because there's nobody at the UWF to really comment on that. Sorry, let's go to our mail. This is a summary of our live show. All right, well, we didn't get our maximum attendance of 5,000, but we got 4,840 for just under $291,000 in ticket sales. Go to our finances. We're just under $9.5 million in the green. Of course, this is going to change. I mean, merchandise will help us out, but we have to there's marketing, there's production, travel, catering, medical, business deals, back office. I mean, all that's gonna, add up. I wonder. I production is what I'm looking for. So like just already. So just looking at our production, right? So that's 3. That's 5. That's 8. That's $8 million a month just from production. Hang on a minute. This is marketing. So marketing is 3. Our back office is 5. Copyright is 300, or not 300, 30,000 a month. Cameras are 1.5, so that's 3 for production. Our pyro is 100,000. State of the art for video, and then 200,000 because we're writing everything. Okay, so I'd have to. Let's just try it. So that's 8, 9.5, 11, 12, 5. Okay, so let's just say 15 for the expenses. I guess that's not including catering and medical business deals. So if we kind of incorporate all that, we're looking at about 15, and we are not halfway through the month yet, and we're at 9, so that's on pace for around 18. We still haven't had the merchandise part that we'd have to incorporate into that. We have pay-per-view revenue with the Royal Rumble coming up. All right, so that is that's where we're looking at for our finances. I mean, we could potentially have to like cut this down. Global. So if we went, global is fine. If we were to go to just a huge marketing level, that saves us $2 million. Global headquarters. So we would need. Oh, see, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. I think we'll be all right. We'll figure this out. All right. A little bit of a longer episode than the previous ones, as we're just over an hour. It flies by when you're doing this. I also could have just looked at here. So we're at, this is I think our pace really is like eight. That's 18. Or no, that's what we've. That's our okay. But what we've cleared, I guess, is like six. There's a 9 million. All right. Rating wise, we're not bad. We're around 3, almost 4, so that's pretty good. Our next show, our next episode, is going to be Superstars of Wrestling and a live event, as per usual. And we are only 8 days, 8 days away from the Royal Rumble. So by the looks of it, we are. That's one episode. So that's 2 episodes, 3 episodes, and then Superstars. So that's 4. So I guess episode 5, unless I did episode 4 is 3 of them, and then Royal Rumble's on a standalone. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe episode 5 or 4 will be 3 shows, just to get us to the Royal Rumble, and talk about the Rumble for on a standalone show. I think that's going to be the plan, and we can talk about other stuff as well in the '92 universe on that show. But all right, that is a little glimpse into the future for WWF '92. Hope you guys are enjoying the storylines, my ideas, my commentary, my thoughts. If not, let me know. If you do, let me know. If you want any changes, if you would like for me to do a different year, whether it be along with this or maybe after this run, or if you want me to stick with '92 and just continue on for however until we get fired, that is cool as well. But I will be back with Superstars and another live event as we continue on in WWF 1992.